Here in Arlington, Virginia. And y'all give a nice hand now to Bob Schaffer. Mr. Schaffer is the chief Washington correspondent for CBS News and the host of Face the Nation, broadcast Sunday mornings on the CBS television network. And how are you?
Well, I'm great. I'm a little nervous. I'm not used to being in front of this many people.
Not used to being in front of this many people who would be apprehended were they to walk past the White House, by the way. Why don't you turn you've got so much, I know, there's so much noise coming out of the thing. I don't know what that is. So have you seen any late poll results?
No, nothing that you don't know about. It's
nothing on CBS?
No, the CBS poll out this morning, I think, gives Clinton, a 12, 14-point lead. He seems to have a lead of 10 points or more in nearly all the polls that I've seen.
Is that what you think it is?
Probably, and it's been about the same since the beginning. That's kind of the interesting thing about this race. It kind of started out in one place and didn't move. It just sort of sat there.
I had an indication yesterday from Bernard that Senator Dole was going to call this morning. And so I sat down, and Charles and I flew over to Four Seasons, which, by the way, is a fine hotel. And just want to mention old Stan and the folks over there at the Four Seasons. And we were talking about what to talk to him about, you know. And this morning, and then once I got him on the phone, this morning didn't seem like, at least on this program, didn't seem like the time to ask him what went wrong. But what did go wrong?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that question, but I tell you, the thing that has been a mystery to me from the beginning of this campaign, you know, Bob Dole used to be the favorite guest of all the Sunday talk shows. He's been on Tim's show more than any other person. He's been on Face the Nation more than any other politician. He's been on the Brinkley show more than any other politician. The reason was he always made news. He was funny. He was cogent. He always came with something to say. The minute he decided to run for president, he sort of clammed up. It was a different Bob Dole. And what I kind of miss in this campaign is the Bob Dole that I used to know, who's always been a favorite of reporters. That doesn't mean they agree with him. And when I say a favorite, I don't mean that means that they agree with him or going to vote for him. But people like to be around him. And suddenly, I don't know if it was the advisors, I don't know if he was too much advice. The Bob Dole we've seen this last year is not the Bob Dole that most people around Washington have known for the last 10 or 15 years.
I was talking to somebody, and they said the day that he resigned from the Senate and put on that sport coat that looked like, that powder blue sport coat without a tie and those khaki pants, and went to Michigan. I think he went to Detroit, wasn't he? I mean, just nobody recognized him from that day on, and that was June 12th. So
I'm not sure in retrospect it was a good idea for him to leave the Senate. I mean, he did have a platform there. In leaving the Senate, he sort of left the stage to the president. And boy, when you've got Air Force One and you've got that White House, it's a mighty powerful stage. I may have told you this story before, but I remember once when I was traveling with Gerald Ford during the campaign, and we stopped off in Alaska, and they'd put out, the local Republicans had put out a flyer that said, "Come out and see Air Force One. Come out and see the Secret Service in action." Way down at the bottom, it said, "And President Ford will be there too." I mean, this is a traveling circus when the president goes around, and Bob Dole sort of gave up his own platform and sort of left the stage, it seems to me, to the president. He also got hurt badly, Don, in the early primaries when Steve Forbes sort of parachuted out of the sky with all those negative ads. He had to spend all of his money in New Hampshire and Iowa and was basically left flat broke for about 3 months while the president was flying around the country in Air Force One.
Well, it was dark there, as you said, most of the summer. In your closing comments yesterday on Face the Nation, you seem to suggest that Ross Perot and others might be correct when they, maybe I'm wrong about this, when they suggest that the first 2 years of the second Clinton administration might shake out a lot like the first 2 of the second term for Richard Nixon.
Well, I don't think it has to if the president, I assume the president's going to be reelected, but I think the first thing he needs to do next week is clean out this Democratic National Committee fundraising operation from top to bottom, because if he doesn't, he's going to be fooling with this for the next 2 years. I mean, this is really serious business, leaning on foreign governments for huge sums sums of money, of mysterious money changing hands in a house of worship. I mean, that's just inexcusable, it seems to me, and the excuses that have been offered so far are not going to work. I said in my closing commentary last night that on Wednesday morning, the president's going to wake up, and just like it always is at the winner's door, people are going to be lined up to tell him how smart he was and how beloved he is, and all of that may be true. But far more valuable, it seems to me, is the aide who reminds him, and it will take a brave soul to do this on the morning after the election, who reminds him that Richard Nixon won in a landslide, and 2 years later, he was out of there, the victim of arrogance that convinced him he was invincible.
We're talking with Bob Schaffer, who is the chief Washington correspondent for CBS News and the host of Face the Nation. Do you miss the Saturday broadcast?
I haven't yet, because we haven't had a big story on Saturday. I'm sure that once there's a big story, I'll miss it. What I don't miss is hauling up there every Saturday morning on the shuttle and then hauling back every Saturday night. I set a world record for riding the shuttles back and forth from Washington to New York. I've been through 5 of them. When I started doing the weekend news, Eastern shuttle was $17 to New York, $34 round trip.
Well, now it's $150 or something like that, or whatever it is. But
everybody has to get in the history books on something.
Well, yeah, but I got to thinking, I mean, we see as much. It wasn't like we weren't going to see less of you. I'm not suggesting that people weren't watching the Saturday news, but probably fewer people watch the Saturday news than any other day of the week. Wouldn't I mean? I would think that. So we see, as I see every night, most nights on the CBS Evening News, and of course on Facebook.
Well, I guess I've done the Saturday news for so long. I think a lot of people forget that I do have a regular job during the week.
Yeah,
I cover the Congress for the evening news with Dan Rather.
I guess what I meant was it's not like you disappeared. It's in fact far from it.
No, but it sure is nice to have Saturdays off.
Did you think that this, back to this foreign money and all that, and I guess the Republicans, there's some of it going on there, maybe not quite as egregious as this particular situation, but is that the most serious, for lack of a better word, scandal facing the Clintons, or do they still have to deal with this file thing?
They've got to deal with all of that, but anytime there's money involved, I mean, somehow or another, that turns out to be the serious thing, and that's what took down Richard Nixon in the end, and so I'm not saying this is Watergate. My feeling is the president just needs to get on this, and he needs to get on it immediately, because it's just inexcusable. But both sides are doing it. I mean, what this election year will be remembered for, I think, by the political scientists, is you've seen both political parties just totally ignore and disregard the campaign finance laws. Yeah. I mean, they just sort of do as they please now, because they think people don't care.
But this wouldn't be something that the president would be. I mean, he and I were talking about this yesterday. I mean, I can imagine that all these people over at the DNC are just raising this money. It wouldn't be something that he would be. I mean, I just couldn't imagine it would be something he would be directing or not.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. But I mean, they have been spending the money on his campaign, so.
Yeah.
I can't say, well, I didn't know about it. I'm certainly going to had nothing to do with it. Sure, he had nothing to do with it, but he has been running a very well-financed campain.
I was out getting a Big Mac, and that's not going to fly, right? Okay. We're talking with Bob Schaffer, who is chief Washington correspondent for CBS News and the host of Face the Nation. How do you feel about David Brinkley retiring?
Oh, I'm really going to miss David. David made the world safe for those of us with regional accents. I mean, before David came along, all newscasters had these deep, well-trained, modulated voices and all of that, and then, David came along, talked like most people do, and so it made it possible for somebody like me to come along. When I used to be a newspaper reporter, and then when I first got into television, it was in Fort Worth at the NBC station, and that was the days of the Huntley Brinkley Report and all of that. Every NBC station around the country had somebody who talked exactly like David Brinkley, and the CBS stations, believe me, they all had their tongue tight. But it's the enormous influence that he has had over the years. He's also a wonderful guy.
Yeah, we've had him on a couple of times. We know him very well. I think he's going to be on the Monday after next Monday, isn't he? Today, by the way, is Walter Cronkite's birthday.
Was it really?
Yeah. So happy birthday. I don't do it very good.
Walter's the best.
Isn't he? Break down the House for me a little bit. The Democrats need 19 to gain control there.
Need 19 to gain control. The key things to watch, I think, there are 70 Republican freshmen running. How well well those 70 freshman Republicans do is going to determine who controls the House. Another key thing to watch, there are 10 open seats that were held by Democrats down south. If the Democrats could somehow hold on to those, I think they would have a very good chance of taking the House. It's going to be decided very late in the night. We think that if the Republicans take control of the House, we'll be able to report that election night. If it looks like it's going to be the Democrats, it may well be into Wednesday before we'll know.
Well, now, what should we, those of us watching television, what states or what races should we look for early on to determine how it's going to go one way or another?
Well, there's some House seats up there in Indiana and Kentucky. How well the Democratic congressmen do in New York, in some of those northeastern states. If the Democrats are going to control the House, they've got to do very well in the Northeast and the far West. If the Republicans are going to control it, they're going to have to do very well with their freshmen all over the country and in the South, in the Democratic open seats. The Senate, I think at this point, I would say that the Senate is going to stay Republican, but maybe by only one seat, maybe as many as 3.
Do you expect that there'll be a Republican Senate seat? That Republican, I can't think of his name, will win in Arkansas? Or?
The Republicans think they have a real chance to win down there.
Well,
they do. Their incumbents who are in trouble are Bob Smith up in New Hampshire and also Larry Pressler out in South Dakota. So those are key races to watch. The Massachusetts race, of course, and that race for Bob Dole's seat down in Kansas. At this point, I think the Republicans are going to take that seat, but it's going to be close.
How about Sam Nunn's seat?
I thought for a long time that Max Cleland had that pretty much wrapped up, but that race is closed in the last couple of weeks, and so I think it's too close to call right now.
And I'm on the line because I've endorsed John Kerry in Massachusetts because I actually like him, and
well, that'll put Kerry on the line too.
And Robert Torricelli because I held my nose on that one, and
I have no idea on that one.
Oh man, well, but I could come up big, couldn't I? I mean, just trying to reduce this down to looking at me. How will history look at this election, do you suppose?
Well, in a couple of ways. If the Republicans retake the House, this will be the first time in, 65 years the Republicans have held the House after taking it. They won it in 28, wasn't it, and lost it in 30, won it in 46, lost it in 48, won it in 52, and lost it in 54. They're not very good historically at keeping the House once they take it. So I guess that would be a historical thing. Bill Clinton be the first Democrat to be elected to 2 full terms since Franklin Roosevelt. And I think you'll also see Bob Dole will be the last of the World War II candidates.
Yeah.
The World War II and all of that will no longer be a factor.
Has this been a campaign that you've been particularly caught up in? Or?
No, to me, it's one of the more uninteresting campaigns. And I've spent most of the last month or 6 weeks going around covering Senate and House races. And the thing that struck me in all of these races is how little interest there has been in the presidential campaign. In 1 week, I went out to southern Ohio, then I was down in Texas. We also have to be some baseball playoffs going on down there, so that had something to do with my trip down there. And then I was in North and South Carolina. In all 4 of the states, and I was first in southern Ohio, and as I was flying back on the plane, I realized that nobody had asked me about the presidential race. So I kind of put that in the back of my mind. I got in Texas, and nobody asked me about it. In neither North or South Carolina did anybody ask me about it unless I brought it up first. The interest wasn't there.
I realize it's writing off Bob Dole here, when they haven't had the election yet. That's one of the reasons when I talked to him this morning, I didn't see any point in trying to second guess or ask him to second guess his campaign because I guess he still thinks he's going to win. Although I did talk to Senator George McGovern a couple of weeks ago about this book he wrote about his daughter Terry. There's a wonderful book, by the way. And he said, Senator McGovern said, that right up until that last day, he actually thought he had a chance to win.
Oh, I think that's right, Don. I was on that plane. I covered the McGovern campaign, and there were people on that airplane that really thought they were going to win that race. And I think a candidate, you just have to make yourself think you're going to win, or who would go through it. I mean, I admire anybody that's willing to do it. It's a pretty tough road.
But do you think that I guess it was David Broder again? We talked about David Broder all morning, haven't we? But would there be do you think there would be a likelihood that Clinton would find a place for Dole, like in?
I don't think so. I mean, we always talk about that before these elections, but somehow it never happens, and I'm not sure Bob Dole would want that to happen. But the the economy is pretty good. The nation is not at war. It's very difficult under those circumstances to unseat a sitting president, and I think that's the assignment Bob Dole had, and I just don't think it's going to
What do you think he'll do? I realize he could be elected, so.
I don't know. In a way, in a personal sense, I kind of worry about that a little bit. Bob Dole's whole life was the United States Senate. People always said he's a man of Washington. He's not a man of Washington. He's a man of the Capitol. You never saw Bob Dole at night on any kind of social circuit. He was either in the Capitol or he was back home in Kansas or he was out somewhere campaigning for a Senate candidate. I think Bob Dole is going to have a hard time figuring out what to do with himself.
Bob, always nice to talk with you. You're one of our favorites here on this program. Thank you very much. And we'll see you Sunday on Facebook.
Yeah.
All right. Bob Schaffer here on the Imus Morning program. It is 14 till the hour as we went by another stop there, didn't we? So we'll just, anyway, we'll do some commercials.
At any rate, none other than esteemed CBS newsman Walter Cronkite spotted at the Grateful Dead concert at Madison Square Garden.
He's clearly gone. What would Walter Cronkite be doing at a Grateful Dead concert, trying to tell people he liked it?
Mr. Cronkite reportedly is friendly with the band's drummer, Mickey Hart.
Oh, come on.
And so there were... Well, I mean, Walter and Mrs. Cronkite, by the way.
If your radio light sucks in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the Morning.
Oh, sorry, what can I tell you?
I mean, it's got to be...
Can you imagine? Do you have any papers, young man?
Getting off of that Casey Jones.
That's exactly right.
Jesus.
Imus in the Morning.
It's 8 minutes till the hour. Y'all welcome Tony Cornheiser.
It's on?
Yes. That's Mr. Cornheiser from the Washington Post, and as and I guess it's almost now a full-time job, this TEM thing, right?
Well, it's not actually a full-time job. I mean, it's the morning job, then there's the day job that I go to, and then I have a variety of night gigs and stuff like that. And I'll be back in the mall tonight at about 9:30 doing a lounge act.
Tony works like 4 days a week, is it? And then
4 days a week on the radio, but 7 days a week in your heart.
so we, how do we approach this now? Because I like Tony. We like Tony. And in fact,
we're big fans.
In fact, the paperback edition of Tony's book, Pumping Irony, is out. Was a fabulous collection of Tony's columns, which are brilliantly funny.
Why do I think something bad is coming?
No, nothing.
I don't know.
Nothing bad is going to come.
He's paranoid, I guess.
You know what it is? What? He needs new friends. He needs new friends.
A whole new set.
You need to get rid of Gino, Nancy.
Yeah.
Your smart friend Martha, who we know
is Martha Sherrill,
is not going to wind up in a Mensa meeting.
But you know what happened?
Nor are we.
Is that doing all these jobs that I do, I no longer have time to actually write that column, so I farm it out to people for about $100 a week.
Here's the thing. Isn't that what's happened?
Apparently so.
When Tony had time to focus, because he writes sports columns too, about 3 times a week for the...
So a tremendous amount of work. But now you didn't like this, you didn't like yesterday's about the price fixed lunch for $36 walking into a lunch when you thought it was a buffet?
I'll tell you the truth. My heart's not in ragging on Tony because I actually do like it. Well, I actually did like your column. So the plan was to make your life miserable, but my heart's not in it.
Well, I thought for sure I would come on and you'd say, gee, those hair transplants are working for you.
No, they are.
Yeah, they are.
It doesn't look, your hair looks fine.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear. Well, now, the one the other day was interesting because my boss took a bunch of us to lunch, figuring that it was a $9.95 buffet, and you walk in and it's price fixed, and he sits there and he's moaning, because he's very cheap, as I wrote in the article, but he's moaning that all he wants is a grilled cheese sandwich. And I said, for $36, they'll make you one. Absolutely. If that's what you want. Whatever you want for $36, they'll give you.
We have about a minute here before, and then you're going to do your program from here?
I'm going to do my program from here, and I hope that the people will stay. I've given most of them money, so that they would stay.
Well, it's just a shame you people...
Good morning.
Good morning. Joining us in the studio, we have Mark Christopher Rohrman, bass player, and we also have Duke Tomato, guitar player, singer, and songwriter.
I just prefer to be called non-bass player.
Okay. And we're going to be featuring the NFL song here in a matter of moments. Also, shortly, it'll be the Angelica Bridges interview, we hope. Angelica on the cover of the current issue of Playboy, which Bob's been holding over on his side of the room all morning long.
Just been reading the article, Tom, trying to figure out a few things to ask the lovely lady, that's all.
She's been on Baywatch. And,
Let me take a look at her.
No, because I don't want you spermerating the magazine.
Too late.
Spermerating?
What was the other line? Initiating was the one?
There's an article that goes along with that?
Yes, there is.
Oh.
Actually, there's print next to her
Really?
pictures. Yeah.
Oh.
You can't help but notice it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some chick actually had to point it out to me.
Hey, look, there's words. That's what I said. Could we hear a little bit of bass over there? Do we have a little bit of that bass?
No, we have none.
No.
I hear no bass. My God, I'm deaf. Am I not hearing any bass? Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, do you have any bass jokes this week? Have you heard a bass joke?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, did you hear about the bass player that put skylights in his ceiling?
No.
His upstairs neighbors are furious.
That's very good.
I see.
Wow, that's nice.
Apartment, huh?
It's an apartment, eh? Is there print next to the pictures?
Well, Duke Tomato is here with us with his guitar. Yes, sir. What do you got, Duke?
Peyton Manning had a bad day. The Colts were just a mess. They must not have stayed at the Holiday Inn Express. Kurt Warner and the Rams are rolling. There's something I must say. Were they going to lose at home to Miami? No Marshall fucking way. What the hell?
Marshall Falk, of course, distinguished
Going on in the NFL.
Ball kicked in the gut.
Rhymes with cock.
What the hell?
Stock.
Going on in the NFL.
You know Marshall. He's a friend of the show.
The Redskins got rid of Jeff George. Went to new quarterback Tony Banks. It didn't seem to matter, though. They're still shooting blanks. 0-3 for the season. The reason is easily seen. They've given up 112 points and only scored 16. What the hell? Ouch. Going on in the NFL. Rock me, Daddy. What the hell? Going on in the NFL. Christy Lee, Keith. I say what? The hell? I say what? Trisha, that actually is the most often asked question on the road. The hell?
What's
That
the
Christy
answer?
Lee. Oh, she's a doll. Chick, bring it on home. With some predictions or a poem. You suck. But first, a poem. There was a young student from Boston who drove around in his Austin.
There was room for his ass and a gallon of gas.
But his balls hung out, so he lost them.
What does that have to do with the NFL?
That is my poem. What the hell? Very nice. Go on in the NFL. What the hell? Ooh. Going on. Going to do another in the NFL. Do you have more poems?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to hear another poem.
There once was a man named Dan who once ate beans from a can. His colon swelled. His wife said, oh, well. And what rhymes with Dan and can? What? There once was a young fellow named Perkin who was always jerking his gherkin. His father said, Perkins, stop jerking your gherkin. Your gherkin's for Firkin, not jerkin.
First we have fault, and now we have
Firkin?
There's no Firkin. There's no Gherkin or Firkin on this show.
No more poets.
And you were going to bump this bit.
Hold on here.
Firkin.
There's some pretty sucky teams this year. I will not name all the names, but looking at the schedule, there'll be some crappy Monday night games. And if your team's not playing well, makes you so mad you can't see straight, be like Alan Greenspan and lower your interest rate. What the hell? Oh, that's very nice. Better than Firkin and Gherkin. What the hell? What the hell? Anything. What the hell? What the hell?
Yeah, she's really
going on? Anything.
I'd say. You thought I was going to say. Duke.
What?
Duke Tomato, singer-songwriter, guitarist. Along with Mark Christopher Rorman. Let's review the spelling of Marshall Falk's name, shall we?
Oh, we have it. It's F-A-U-L-K.
It rhymes with chalk or
Yes,
caulk.
we got that.
Stalk, almost.
It was Marshall fucking Way.
Gotcha.
You know, what's that accent you have? Is that I know you're a South Side Chicago blues artiste, but
You got it. I distinctly heard that.
I didn't hear the L. So.
You know, it's kind of, it goes back to that tattoo thing. What is with,
Mm-hmm. We got it. When did the
I think you're a little. What is it?
when did the limericks become part of this?
When he chickened out making predictions.
I don't know, but I can't get enough. I have a question. Could you possibly read them before the song starts?
I got through Gherkin and Firkin and Jerkin pretty well without seeing it first. I can tell you that.
Yeah, you didn't see me having the heart attack over there. I do not want to hear Firkin again.
All right.
Well, we'll have Christy read Asian news stories if we're going to do that.
That's an accent you have over there. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, hey, Duke, I have an
Tom.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I can find it very quickly, but Duke has a distinguished Halloween song that we have somewhere here. Oh, very good, Bob.
Bob, that's why he gets the big money. He
That's
deserves
right.
it.
Wow, Bob just whipped it out.
That's right.
Did you see
That's
Bob?
why his name's first.
Did you see Bob whip out that thing?
I saw it whip out.
Firkin name is first. That's
There'll be no more Firking on this show.
Are you ready for
well,
this?
we have a Firkin guideline in place.
We certainly do.
Yes, we do. There are a few guidelines.
Here we go.
The autumn moon was full on that last October night. Smiling jack-o'-lanterns shed their ghoulish light. I was putting on my costume for a neighbor's spooky bash when suddenly at my back door I heard a frightful crash. I went out in my yard on Halloween night, someone I could hardly see. A horrifying face barely in the light scared the pants off of me. Scared the pants off of me. Oh, scared the pants off of me. As I walked to a party down the street, I felt a shiver and twitch. I slipped on the pumpkin in the dark, and once again I saw the witch. Scared the pants off of me. Scared the pants off of me. Oh, what a Halloween party. Everybody's rocking. All those ghouls and goblins. What a great place. I'm dancing and I'm singing. Yeah, joining in the music. And then I see that witch's face. I run up the back door and down the street. I hear someone following behind. I'm afraid to turn around and look. of me. Oh, scare the pants off of me. I slam my door and I hide inside, about to expire in shock. Just as I begin to breathe again, I hear a tiny knock. I open the door, I see the face that fills my mind with screams. It's just a witch's mask, I pull it off. I see the woman of my dreams. She scared the pants off of me, oh baby. She scared the pants off of me all night long. She scared the pants off of me, oh yeah. She scared the pants off of me, oh I like it. I didn't think I had a ghost of a chance till she scared the pants off of me. Oh yeah. Boo. So I moved into her haunted house, and she's become my wife. She loves my furry beard. I'm the wolf man in her life. Now, some 9 months later, she's got a swollen tummy. I'm going to be a monster daddy, and she's going to be a mummy. We'll be a happy family, our lives will be so rich. Just me, the ghoul of my dreams, and our little son of a witch.
There you go.
Very scary.